exclusive Star Wars The Acolyte real cost exploded to $230 million, according to new tax documents. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So the disaster known as Disney Star Wars continues, and The Acolyte real costs are now here, according to these new tax documents. Absolutely insane. This is Disney Star Wars, okay? This is what we told you. This was always going to be a failure and a disaster. It was always going to be. And then here we are right now. So UK tax documents filed by the Walt Disney Company's UK branch reveal that Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company spent over 172 million GBP, 231 million USD on the production of The Acolyte, a prequel series set in the Disney Star Wars universe. In the interview with Vanity Fair, The Acolyte series creator Leslie Headland publicly claimed the show cost $180 million, which was assumed by several to be stated in U.S. dollars. So it is evident that if Headland had knowledge of the series financials, that she would more likely be referring to the amount in Great British pounds. Accounting for exchange rates at the time of this article, that means this means that The Acolyte cost $230 million USD. So there you go, right there. And yet these weirdos are going to continue to question why the series failed. Have you ever seen an Acolyte toy on the shelf? I don't know if I have. I don't know if I've ever seen any. You know why? Because no one was interested in the Acolyte to begin with. They didn't even, I don't even think they produced toys for the Acolyte. If they did, you would see them on the shelves and not moving, just like the Rose Tico figures or the Rey action figures or whatever. So the fact is there was no marketing that, like, who in this show were people going to go buy toys of? Who? Name a character. Name any character in this show that was going to turn the needle and get people to check it out. Who? There's not one. When you make a show like this, whether it's Marvel or DC or Star Wars, or it's based off a pre-existing property, the whole point is to have merchandise and merchandise that people care about. And that's how, George Lucas, redefined the toy industry back in the day with Star Wars action figures. I'm a G.I. Joe fan. And, that's how, Hasbro and everybody was involved with the G.I. Joe stuff back in the day. They created these stories in the comics, and then they created these characters, these toys that people would go out and buy. That's the name of the game, to create merchandise. There's no characters in this show that anyone cared about. None. Okay, so have you heard about this with the Acolyte and the real cost going up to $230 million based on tax documents?
And what was the original? It was 180?
180, what Leslie Headland has said. So now it's $230 million. You can add another $50 million to the budget according to these documents right here.
That's tough, man. That's tough because, this is a show that it didn't get canceled. It just didn't get renewed, right?
Yeah.
And this is a show that was nearly entirely filmed in the Disney volume, and it didn't look good. The acting wasn't good. The best character was Soul, and they made him to be this incompetent fucking liar that apparently was the villain of the entire show. Where did this money go? Where did it go? Was it for Leslie Headland's fucking coffee breaks? I don't fucking know where this fucking money went.
Yeah,
it's insane.
And this is why the show was canceled. This was why the show was always going to be canceled. It never stood a chance at getting a season 2. And we will go back to what we said originally about all of this, where Disney and Lucasfilm wanted this show to have a second season. There's no way in hell that they didn't want to have a second season. Of course they did. Okay, so the fact that they were forced into having to cancel this show is absolutely just, hilarious, knowing how much they wanted to push forward with the representation, diversity, and all the other bullshit involved with it. So This is not a surprise to anybody that's been paying attention to any of this. So now the question becomes is, what does Disney do moving forward? How do they handle, future projects? Because we've heard concerns about the Rey movie. We've heard people say like it's on hold. You've got some questions surrounding the Mandalorian movie in the future. You've got other projects that people are questioning. And this is the pattern of behavior with Disney and Lucasfilm over the past decade under Kathleen Kennedy, whether it's Rian Johnson's trilogy that hasn't happened, whether it's the Dan and Dave's trilogy that never happened and they got fired. Solo got 90% of the way done before Kathleen Kennedy decided to do her job and get rid of who was the guys that were involved in that. The two directors they fired. The chat's going to tell me here in just a minute. Great point, Beardo, says Randy. Yeah, Beardo, like, what do you think, Beardo? What do you think about all of this? Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Thanks, Beardo. So Lord Miller, that's it. Lord and Miller. Those are the ones. So they fired Lord and Miller. And then Ron Howard comes in and gives us Solo. Solo ends up being the biggest failure that we've ever seen in the history of Star Wars. And there you go.